Hi viewers, we call a secret meeting to end this online saga between your favorites. Watch this video to the end to hear what Shen Yue said at the end.
Before the story begins, take 1 second and hit subscribe because what you are about to hear might be one of the most shocking behind-the-scenes confrontations the entertainment industry has seen in years, and by the time you reach the end of this story, the meeting that was supposed to quietly end a conflict may reveal secrets no one expected. Late one evening inside a private lounge hidden within a luxury hotel in Shanghai, a meeting was being prepared with unusual urgency. Security staff quietly cleared the surrounding hallways. Assistants whispered into phones. Curtains were drawn tightly over tall windows overlooking the glowing skyline. This was not a press event. There were no photographers. No media announcements. Yet the tension in the air suggested something enormous was about to unfold. At the center of this secret gathering were two of the most influential figures in the modern drama world. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan had reportedly decided that the growing conflict among several well-known stars had gone too far, and something had to be done before the situation damaged careers and reputations beyond repair. For months, rumors had been spreading across fan communities and industry circles. The names at the center of those whispers were impossible to ignore. Wang Shen Yue and Bai. Every new interview clip, every cryptic social media post, every accidental comment caught on camera seemed to add fuel to a growing storm of speculation. Fans debated constantly. Entertainment reporters followed every hint of tension. But what most people did not know was that behind the scenes, several senior figures within the industry were growing increasingly concerned about how far the situation had escalated. That was when Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan reportedly stepped in. According to sources close to the production world, the two stars believed the only way to prevent the drama from spiraling further was to bring everyone together face to face.
No cameras.
No public statements. Just one honest conversation. And so the emergency meeting was arranged. The first to arrive that night was Wang. Witnesses say he stepped out of a dark vehicle just after sunset. He wore a black jacket and walked quickly through the private entrance guided by hotel staff who had clearly been instructed to keep the evening discreet. Inside the lounge, he paused for a moment before sitting at the long table prepared for the discussion. The room was quiet except for the distant hum of the city outside. Not long after his arrival, Shen Yue entered. The moment she stepped into the room, the atmosphere shifted slightly. There was a calm determination in her expression as she took a seat across from Dylan. For a brief moment, neither of them spoke. The silence felt heavy with months of unresolved questions. Then the door opened again. Bai walked in. Her entrance added a new layer of tension to the room. She glanced briefly at the others before sitting down. The air between the three actors felt almost electric, as if everyone understood that this conversation would not be easy. But the meeting had not yet truly begun. A few minutes later, the two people who had called everyone together finally entered the lounge. Wang Yibo walked in first, followed closely by Xiao Zhan. Their presence immediately shifted the mood from uncertainty to focus. Both men had reputations for professionalism and calm leadership within the industry, and it was clear that they intended to guide the conversation carefully. Wang Yibo took a seat at the center of the table. Xiao Zhan stood for a moment looking around the room before finally speaking. He began quietly, but with confidence. He explained that everyone in the room had achieved incredible success through hard work and dedication. But he also said that the constant rumors and misunderstandings surrounding their relationships were beginning to overshadow their accomplishments. Then he said something that immediately captured everyone's attention. He said that the purpose of the meeting was not to assign blame or reopen old arguments. The goal was to clear the air once and for all. For a few seconds, the room remained silent. Then Wang Yibo leaned forward slightly and spoke with a calm seriousness that surprised even those who knew him well. He said that the entertainment world was already filled with enough pressure and competition. Friends should not become enemies because of misunderstandings amplified by public speculation. His words seemed to soften the atmosphere slightly. The first real breakthrough came when Shen Yue finally spoke. Her voice was steady but emotional as she explained how exhausting the constant rumors had become. She admitted that sometimes even small comments made during interviews were misinterpreted by fans and spread online in ways no one could control. Dylan listened carefully. At one point he nodded quietly, as if acknowledging the truth behind her words. Then Bai Lu spoke next. Her tone carried a mixture of frustration and honesty as she explained how quickly online narratives can grow beyond anyone's control. She said that once a story begins circulating, it becomes almost impossible to stop people from adding their own interpretations. As the conversation continued, something unexpected happened. Instead of confrontation, the meeting slowly turned into something closer to reflection. Wang Yibo occasionally guided the discussion back to the main point, reminding everyone why they had gathered there. Xiao Zhan listened carefully to each perspective, offering thoughtful comments that helped the conversation remain calm. Minutes turned into hours. The tension that had filled the room at the beginning gradually faded. At one point, Dylan finally spoke openly about how difficult it had been watching the situation grow larger than anyone intended. He admitted that there were moments when he wished everything could simply return to the earlier days when their careers were focused entirely on creating great performances for audiences. Shen Yue responded with a quiet smile. She said that perhaps the meeting itself was the first step toward that goal. Even Bai Lu seemed to relax slightly as the discussion moved away from accusations and toward understanding. By the time the night reached its final hour, the atmosphere inside the lounge had changed completely. What began as an emergency meeting had slowly transformed into a conversation filled with unexpected honesty. Before everyone left, Wang Yibo stood up and looked around the table. He said something simple, yet powerful. He reminded everyone that the industry was big enough for all of them to succeed without unnecessary conflict. Xiao Zhan added one final thought. He said that sometimes the strongest friendships are formed after difficult conversations. When the meeting finally ended, the 5 stars walked out of the lounge together. No cameras captured the moment. No reporters were waiting outside. But those who witnessed the quiet exit said something remarkable could be seen in the expressions on their faces. Relief. Whether the meeting completely erased the past tensions remains a mystery, known only to those inside that room. But one thing is certain. The night that began with an emergency call from Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan may have quietly changed the direction of a story that fans around the world had been following for months. And if you want to know what insiders claim happened after the meeting ended, and why some witnesses say one unexpected conversation in the hallway became the most shocking moment of the entire night, make sure you stay with us for the next part of this story, because what happened after they walked out together might surprise you even more. The door of the private lounge slowly closed behind them, but the night was not over yet. What happened after the meeting between Wang Yibo, Xiao Zhan, Dylan Wang Shen Yue, and Bai Lu may have been the most surprising moment of the entire night. As the group stepped into the quiet hallway outside the meeting room, the tension that had filled the lounge earlier seemed to fade into something more reflective. The bright city lights from the tall hotel windows stretched across the marble floor, and for a moment no one spoke. Wang Yibo was the first to break the silence. He turned back toward the group with a calm expression and reminded everyone that sometimes the strongest partnerships in the entertainment world are built not during perfect moments, but during the difficult conversations that force people to finally understand each other. Xiao Zhan nodded slightly as he stood beside him. He looked toward Dylan Wang and Shen Yue and said that audiences around the world admire their work because it feels real and authentic, and that protecting that respect should always be more important than winning arguments or proving points. Dylan Wang listened quietly. For a moment, he looked down at the floor as if thinking through everything that had just been said during the long discussion. Then he finally lifted his head and spoke with a tone that sounded calmer than earlier in the evening. He admitted that the past few months had been frustrating for everyone involved. Rumors had grown larger than reality, and fans had begun interpreting every small interaction as evidence of conflict. He said that sometimes it felt like the public story was completely different from the truth they all understood privately. Shen Yue responded softly. She explained that the hardest part of fame is realizing that millions of people are watching every detail of your life, even when those details mean something entirely different than what outsiders imagine. Bai Lu stood quietly for a moment before finally stepping closer to the group. Her expression had changed from the guarded tension she carried earlier in the meeting. She said that perhaps the biggest lesson of the night was realizing how easily misunderstandings can grow when people stop talking directly to each other. The conversation continued in the hallway for several minutes as hotel staff passed by at a distance, pretending not to notice the gathering of some of the biggest names in the industry. At one point, Wang Yibo smiled slightly and suggested something unexpected. He said that if the goal of the meeting was truly to move forward, then maybe the best way to prove that would be simple. He suggested that instead of leaving separately, they should walk out together. The idea seemed small, but the meaning behind it was powerful. For months, fans and online communities had speculated about divisions between the stars. A simple moment of unity could quietly challenge that entire narrative. Xiao Zhan agreed immediately. He said that sometimes actions speak louder than explanations. Wang glanced briefly toward Shen Yue before nodding. Shen Yue returned the look with a small but genuine smile. Even Bai Lu seemed to relax as the group began walking down the hallway toward the private elevator. When the elevator doors finally opened, the five of them stepped inside together. The mirrored walls reflected their expressions as the doors slowly closed. Down in the hotel lobby, a few late-night guests noticed the elevator opening and briefly looked surprised to see several famous actors walking out together in quiet conversation. There were no cameras, no reporters waiting to capture the moment. But for those who happened to witness it, the scene felt strangely symbolic. 5 stars who had been surrounded by rumors and speculation for months were now leaving the building side by side. Whether the meeting truly ended the tensions that fans had been discussing for so long is something only time will reveal. But according to insiders, the emergency gathering called by Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan achieved something that had seemed impossible only hours earlier. It reminded everyone in that room that behind the headlines and online debates, they were still colleagues working in the same industry and sharing the same stage. And as the night came to an end, the group stepped out into the glowing city streets, where the lights of Shanghai reflected across the skyline like a quiet promise that sometimes even the most dramatic stories can find an unexpected moment of peace. But some insiders claim that after the group left the hotel, one final conversation between 2 of the stars happened inside a waiting car, and what was said there may reveal that this story is far from finished. If you want to know what witnesses say happened next, stay tuned, because the next chapter of this unfolding drama may surprise everyone watching.